Jam Session is a podcast where two guys who grew up in Dallas-Fort Worth discuss sports, craft beer, life, and their experiences living in one of America's most vibrant cities. If you love sports, you're going to love this show. If you love craft beer or you're curious about it, you'll love this show. Great conversations with good friends is what Jam Session is all about.
Welcome. It's nice to have you here. I hope you enjoy it. I think you will.
You're listening to the Jam Session Podcast.
I was told that I could listen to the radio at a reasonable volume.
With Cowboys insider...
What's your name?
Jean-Jacques Taylor.
That's my name.
Radio personality and craft beer expert, Matt McLaren.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot. Comes from upbringing.
And now, the Jam Session Podcast. It is indeed Jam Session. Subscribe, rate, and review, and hang out with us for a while. Right here on the Jam Session Podcast. The moment we've all been waiting for has arrived. Ladies and gentlemen, the radio, TV, and now podcast star, the sexy Jean-Jacques Taylor.
What up, dog?
I would be the non-sexy one, Matt McLaren, and this is Jam Session, the podcast, version 46, asking simply that you prepare to be dazzled,
if not entertained.
And man, do we have a loaded podcast for you today. We're going to get into the 10 plays that defined the Cowboys season. We'll also, of course, have our chat with ESPN NFL Nation Cowboys insider Todd Archer is going to join us here on this version of the podcast, as always brought to you by BlueStarMotorGroup.com. We'll have a trip around the block, and we have to get into one of the craziest stories in the sports world that involves the weird-ass dick pic.
Yeah. Now, before we get started, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Why do people keep coming for me at the gym, man?
I don't know. What.
And see, this one relates to you.
Like trying to fight you or what?
I'm sitting there, dude. I don't understand why people come for me at the gym. I'm wearing what I always wear at the gym. Some sort of Ohio State pullover, which is my sweatshirt to keep me warm in the morning. So I've got that off, and all I've got on is an Ohio State mask, okay? I'm doing some shoulder presses, sitting down, doing some shoulder presses, talking to my boy, minding my own business. And this dude walks up to me as he's grabbing some weights. He says, "You got the wrong mask on, huh?" And I look down and go, "No, I'm good. What you talking about?" "You know, the game." I go, "No, what game?" "National championship game. Y'all got rolled." And I said, "Oh,
nice.
Yeah, that game we lost." I said they were better than us. They beat us. They rolled everybody. There's not really a lot of shame there.
True.
Yeah, man, y'all got beat pretty good. I go,
okay.
Yeah, but in my mind, I view it as 1-1. We kicked y'all ass in 2014. Y'all kicked our ass this year. It's time for the rubber match. Maybe we'll see y'all next year in the rubber match. And then when people like I don't know this guy. And so then, Matt, you know what I do for a living, right?
Yes.
I'm a journalist. And so I start probing, because I got a series of things for when people are just disrespectful like that. And that's what I took it as, a disrespectful shot. You want to front run while the game. I ain't never talked to you in my life. And your first interaction with me is to talk about my team. That's some bull. I mean, for real, man, that's some bull.
That's really weird.
And so we're probing. "Oh, you from Alabama?" I said, yeah. I said, "Oh, so you went to Alabama?" "Oh, no, I'm just from Alabama." I said, "Oh, okay." And then I hit him with this, man. I said, "How'd you get to be an Alabama fan? You Auburn, you Alabama. How'd you get to be an Alabama fan? What's the usual way, man?" I grew up, my mom, my dad, my uncle, my brother, something. So he hit me with this, man. Oh, before that, Matt, this is the key. I don't want to leave out the key. He said, "I'm an Alabama guy, but I really like Cam Newton."
What?
And so I said, "Oh, check this out, Matt.
He's not an Alabama guy.
I said, "How'd you become an Alabama fan?" And this is what he said, Matt. He said, "Oh, well, my girl's an Alabama fan. And so I kind of got with her. Once we got together, I became an Alabama fan." I said, "You jock riding your girl's team?" Now, this is not like you, Matt, because you all in on Alabama. I said, "Dude, you can't be a Cam Newton fan and then sit up here and talk to me about all the great things Alabama did."
That's true, man.
I said, "Dog, I did this too, man." I was trying to act like I was aggressive, but I was really just joking around. I go, "That's some bullshit, right?" I said just like that. "That's some bullshit, dog." I said, how you going to jock ride Alabama? That's your girls' team, man. That ain't even your team. I said, let me ask you something, man. If Cam Newton played for Michigan, do you think I would ever tell somebody I rooted for him?
No.
I said, man, I'm not even sure
can't.
you're a real Tide fan, man.
No.
You just jock ride, dog. And then he started stuttering and stammering, and then he walked away. And my workout partner said, dog, you are so cold. You had that dude stuttering and stammering. I said, man. I said, he didn't know he was messing with, although I used another word. And so I said, dude, I'm tired of these people coming for me in the morning, man. I don't be bothering nobody. I had literally said nothing to anybody other than my workout partner the first 30 minutes we were there. But I shut his ass down.
Yeah, you did. And that's true, because I can tell you right now, having been around a gazillion people that were born and raised Alabama fans and went to the university, my lady friend who went to the University of Alabama, they cannot stand Cam Newton. They hate him. As a matter of fact, if you walk around Birmingham or Tuscaloosa, they refer to him as Scam Newton.
Yeah.
Because of what he did with all the stuff that he got in trouble with at Florida and Auburn. That's where all that came from, man. You're not a Bama fan if you're sitting there going, man, I really like Cam Newton.
Dude, as he was slinking off, slinking, I said, hey, man, if y'all break up, it's going to be War Eagle.
It might be. Maybe that's how he does it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is rough. But let's get into the Dallas Cowboys and their Susan. Why would they have a Susan? How about their season that, of course, came to an end at the end of the regular season a couple of weeks back? But let's tell you, before we do that, about Blue Star Motor Group. They're going to bring Todd Archer to you here during the course of this podcast. And Blue Star Motor Group is getting it done, man. If you are looking for superior quality, Carfax certified pre-owned vehicles of all makes and models, they've got it for you at Blue Star Motor Group. You can check out their inventory at bluestarmotorgroup.com. They also have an Instagram page. We follow them. I would encourage you to follow them. They're always posting pictures and deals and customer reviews. They're a wonderful local family-owned business. And again, if you are looking to buy or sell, if you have questions, you can give Deb a call at 817-881-4066. So check them out, man, because they are big fans of what we do here on Jam Session, big supporters of us. So please support Blue Star Motor Group at bluestarmotorgroup.com.
Yeah, do that.
Also, HFX Foundation Repairs. We've been telling you about these guys for a while now. And I know it seems like, okay, we get it. Your house is giving you signs. I'm telling you, man, it's one of those things that people will put off. Oh, there's cracks in our foundation. Hey, did you notice a couple of doors are sticking? I'm sure it's fine. It's the weather was warmer today or whatever it is. That's your house telling you, hey, man, I got a problem. Y'all want to fix this now or you want to wait until it's going to be super expensive? It's up to you. But HFX Foundation Solutions, they'll come in, they'll give you that free inspection, they'll check it out and see if you do have a problem. And if you do, they'll take care of it for you because they specialize in slab, pier, and beam foundation repair, as well as drainage and gutter installations. So once you start seeing these signs, that's when you put it in your phone so it'll pop up. Call HFX Foundation Solutions today, 817-770-0174. They're A-rated with the Better Business Bureau, or even easier, you can just check them out online at hfxfoundation.com. Do it now. Don't put your property at more risk. Make it easy on yourself.
Absolutely.
hfxfoundation.com. So let's do this. This is one of those things where, do I look forward to it or do I dread it, of going back through the 10 plays that defined the Cowboys season? Because as you might imagine, in a year in which you go 6-10 and colossally miss out on everything, probably what defined your season isn't as great as you were hoping that it would be.
No, this is true. And it wasn't, I started doing this, dude, I've been doing this so long. And there's one thing I'll tell you about in a minute that I kicked myself for. I've been doing this so long that I started it at the Dallas Morning News. I took it with me to ESPN. Mm-hmm. I did a version of it for NBC5. We certainly did a radio version for it on a radio show we had. And now we're doing it here. So it's been on 5 different platforms. But I really enjoy it because it's a great way to look back at the season.
Yeah.
Because so much of the season so much of games week by week are defined by 3 or 4 little plays. But what I was really mad at myself about was I was like, dude, I should have done the 10 plays that shaped a decade.
Whoa,
and
man.
just compiled all the ones I've done over the years. And maybe with technology, because from 11 to 20 is really not that long in internet. Maybe I can find all of those. And if so, that's a good off-season project.
Yeah. Do you consider the decade 11 through 20? Most people would say it's 10 through 19.
Well, it depends on whether you can find it to do it or not.
I mean, basically, really, you can make the decade however you want because you can just do a 10-year window and make it what it is. Yeah, but
but it's better if it's a nice little round number.
Right. For sure it is. And so you had this, and this was in the Dallas Morning News a few days back. And
Wednesday, I think.
The 10 plays that shaped the Cowboys season. So do you want to start at 10 and count our way down?
Yeah, I believe that's the best way to do it.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. So we'll play the cut for you as it happened from the broadcast. And then after that, of course, we will sit and discuss exactly what it is that we are hearing. So let's get into this, and we will start it off. And the first play in the 10 plays, you go to not that long ago. This is later in the season, week 15. The Dallas win over San Francisco. 2nd and 4 from the San Francisco 40-yard line with 2:27 left late in the fourth quarter.
It's Tony Pollard with the block by Brown, and there it goes! Off to the races! Looking at it! Chased by Witherspoon into the end zone. It's a touchdown! Oh, what a run! 40-yard touchdown sprint by Tony Pollard.
What tremendous individual effort by Tony Pollard. As we just said a few minutes ago, no Ezekiel Elliott, declared inactive. Tony Pollard finds out he's going to be the starter, taking full advantage of it. As I said, great individual effort. Watch as he gets to the outside. He gets wrapped up, 3 defenders. He spins out of it, and then the acceleration to take it to the house.
Well, I think that was a huge play. And the reason why I was number 10 is sometimes the plays are about that truly define the season. And this, to me, was something that kind of defined a role. Like, Tony Pollard makes so many big plays per touch, far more than Zeke this year, that even though you got all these great receivers and stuff, man, it just seems to me like you got to figure out a way to get him an opportunity a few times a game in space and see if he can make something special happen for you.
You said it all right there. In that one clip right there, I think you're exactly right because we've seen it. We saw it several times from Pollard this year, but it really kind of drove home the point late in the season, especially when Zeke was out, that this is a guy that if you keep giving him opportunities at some point is going to give you that explosive play.
And I think the way is to figure out how do you do that? How do you get him opportunities? Because everybody needs them, man. Amari Cooper needs some, and CeeDee Lamb needs some, and Michael Gallup needs some. So how do you figure out how to get Tony Pollard the ball and go, hey, y'all told me Kellen Moore was creative. Prove it. Get him the ball.
So
in space with an opportunity to do something.
So we move on to the next play. And again, it's the 10 plays that define the Cowboys season. And this one, we go way back to early in the year. And once you hear it, everybody's going to have that flash of memory in your mind going, oh, my God. Yep, I remember that one. Week 3 in Seattle, Dallas has the lead 31-30 with an opportunity perhaps to pull out a road win in Seattle. 3rd and 3, Seattle has the ball from the Dallas 29. Again, 3rd down with 1:47 left in the fourth quarter.
Just get it away before the play clock expires. Wilson looking for somewhere to go. This one is caught for the touchdown, Metcalf. They're doubling Metcalf out here. He's got his eyes on Metcalf. It's Darian Thompson, and there's no way they think that he's going to continue all the way across to the other side of the field. And then Russell Wilson just drops it in perfectly. I mean, how about the offensive line? They give him the kind of time to just sit back there on a huge 3rd down play. They come up with a touchdown.
Even Aikman thought that was funny.
At some point, I've had this discussion with high-ranking members of the Cowboys organization, and you just like, and the discussion goes like, how long? Why won't y'all invest in a safety?
Yeah.
And the answer is always some variation of there are more important positions on the field. How many truly impactful safeties are there? And probably because you try to be respectful when you have these conversations because this is their profession and they really do know more about football than you do. But that doesn't mean you can't have a valid point. And the question that I try to respectfully pose is, or the statement is, but y'all got trash safeties, man.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have average. You got trash. Or you don't have slightly above average. You got trash. Or, okay, I'm being harsh. Maybe you got below average. Or you got average at best. Can you just get like solid safeties? Like, can you spend a 3rd round pick and just get a 12-letter cuss word that can play? Not a guy in the 6th round who you had a 3rd round grade on, Xavier Woods. Just a bleeping 3rd round pick, man. A 2nd round pick. A guy who can walk in and show you some difference-making abilities at safety, because the safety has become more important in the game because we've turned into a passing game. And so, you know, they haven't drafted a safety with a premium pick since Roy Williams, dog.
Yeah, long-ass time ago, man. And I don't know that it happens this year. Maybe it should in the 2nd or 3rd round, but it's who knows. That play right there paints the picture of exactly some of the problems, especially with the personnel. The scheme wasn't going to work, and how these guys just didn't know where they were supposed to be and when they were supposed to be there, all displayed very early in the season on that play.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Darian Thompson got benched after that game. And I was just like, you wasted 3 games to do that, though, man.
Yeah, it took you 3 games to figure that out about that dude. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about like a street free agent, basically.
Right.
All right, so we'll move on to our next play. And for this one, we go to week 4. The very next week after the Seattle game, Cowboys are back at home. This is the week, let's keep in mind, where Cleveland ran all over them. But somehow, some way, Dallas still has a lead, or excuse me, is still in the game late in this one. It's 41-38 Cleveland. 1st and 10 from midfield with a little over 3 minutes left to go in the 4th quarter.
Mayfield on a fake, flip to Beckham, and he gets away. Now Beckham has room to run. Odell Beckham cuts back. Odell Beckham Jr. all the way. Touchdown, Cleveland.
Well, you can grind the clock out, or you can score on the first play if you want. You know, either way, it works if you're a Browns fan. Holy smokes. I tell you, Aldon Smith is the only guy there. If he makes that play, it's so huge. They're going to be backed up. And when he misses, there is nobody else there. There's nobody in pursuit. There's nobody on that side of the field. I mean, Aldon Smith does everything right except make the tackle. And once he broke that, there is nobody there. They're coming late, but it's already, you've got Odell Beckham Jr. in space. He's going to let you over pursue and come right back underneath you. Just poor angles. Xavier Woods, poor effort.
I mean, that's a former Cowboy doing that.
That play, Matt, had the season gone differently, that would have been, I mean, that play to me could have been so much in different ways. Think about, because if y'all don't remember, the score was 41-14 in the second half.
Yeah.
Now imagine if Aldon Smith makes this play. What he was in position to do, he just didn't do it. If he makes the play and it's 2nd and 22, they're going to punch you the ball back. And there's no doubt in your mind that Dallas is going down and score a touchdown because they scored 3 in a row. And imagine coming back and win a game, even that early in the season, that you had been down 41-14. Now, if it plays out and Dak gets hurt, maybe it wouldn't matter. Or maybe you'd have felt better about yourself when he got hurt and you wouldn't have spiraled into that 2-9 start or whatever it was, right. 3-9 start. But this play also, like, Moose Johnson at the end, man, Xavier Woods, poor effort. This was also a game that got us talking about, are y'all hustling? I mean, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
There was a lot of moving parts on this particular play, bro.
Yeah, and I thought that's why I left in what Moose had to say, because, I mean, he is just ripping the defense. There's nobody there. There's horrible angles, bad pursuit, poor effort. I mean, wow. And he was right, exactly right, which really, again, that was week 4 into the season, and I'm not sure that it changed throughout the course of the year, which obviously is a huge reason why Mike Nolan's no longer here. So we go to our next play, and this is the week 7 play in Washington. Washington is up big. It is 22-3. It's just a poop game from Dallas all the way around. It's 3rd and 10 from the Dallas 3. About halfway through the 3rd quarter, Andy Dalton at least trying to make something happen here.
On 3rd and 10 against a 4-man rush, Dalton steps up. He tucks it and runs and slides and gets hit by Bostic. And flags come flying, no question. Dalton's helmet is off and he's still down. Backup quarterback is Ben DiNucci, yet to make his NFL debut.
And that was one of the things that Mike McCarthy talked about, getting ready for the Arizona game. Was my most important thing is getting Ben DiNucci ready for the number 2 spot. That may be paying off right here, as Andy Dalton could be done for the day.
Oh, he was. He was done for the day and done for a while on a nasty hit from Bostic that, by the way, the rest of the Cowboys office, I guess, thought was totally cool.
Well, I mean, I don't know. They didn't. I once had this similar situation to me where I was dating this girl and we had a class together, and she got in this argument with this dude, and he raised his voice at her. And after the argument, she was like, I can't believe you didn't come in and intervene and defend me. And I was like, I sat there watching it instead of reacting. I just kind of was caught up watching it. Now, she didn't really appreciate that, so that relationship didn't go very much further.
I imagine.
And I think that's a little bit what this was. They were just kind of like watching it and not reacting and not going to defend their quarterback. And so it was a very bad look. But the worst thing to me is, man, it took Andy Dalton out for a week. Mm-hmm. And if Andy Dalton's playing against Philadelphia the next week, they probably win that game because Philadelphia was trash.
Yeah, I guess to some degree it gave you an answer about your 7th-round draft pick and Ben DiNucci.
I don't know if he showed enough to even get a roster spot when they bring him back, when the 2021 season starts.
Yeah, I don't know.
He certainly can't be your backup.
I don't see a point in it, I would say. So we continue here and we go to the next play, and our next play will take us, and this is one of the positive plays of the season because this is week 11, Minnesota, Dallas. Dallas down by a point. This is just a few minutes left in the second quarter. It is 2nd and goal, and this play was awesome.
2nd and goal. Dalton looking end zone. He throws. What a catch! C.D. Lamb for a Cowboys touchdown.
Kenny, I don't know if fans recognize how hard of a catch that was.
Wow, looking over his left shoulder.
Gets it down. That's a touchdown.
Going to the ground, gathers it in additionally with one hand. A spectacular catch by the rookie out of Oklahoma.
Oh, no, dog. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, when the ball leaves Dalton's hand, I think that there's no possible way he can catch the ball.
Yeah.
No possible way. And then for him to twist and turn his body, and really, if you go back and really look at it, he caught it with one hand. And then he used his other hand to corral it to his body. But the initial catch and grab is with his left hand. He pulls it in, and he pulls his right hand over to secure it. That was one of the more phenomenal catches you'll ever see. And it reminded me a little bit of Dez Bryant, because Dez Bryant used to make some of the most fantastic touchdown grabs, and it'd be like a 3-yard touchdown.
Yeah, that
he just jumped over somebody's head.
That play right there, I mean, that was just, I remember doing that on Homer Audio because I was freaking out because I cannot believe, because right before he catches the ball, you just think, well, there's no way, it's too far away from him. And for him to turn his body the way that he did and somehow be able to grab that, just an absolutely unbelievable play by C.D. Lamb right there.
And it just reinforced the talent. It's the classic case to me of, and see, we'll have this conversation during the draft. If for some reason some fantastic player's on the board and he's like the second best player on your board, and maybe the cornerbacks are gone, you're like, well, we don't need another offensive player, but can we really pass up on this kind of guy, this kind of talent? Because you can never go wrong taking talented players, especially when they're the best dudes on your board. And that's what CeeDee Lamb was, and I don't think anybody regrets that pick.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, what a phenomenal selection, and it's obvious that he's going to be a star. So we now get into the top 5 plays that shaped the Cowboys season, and I know all of us remember this one. Probably many of you were screaming F-bombs at your TV when you saw this unfold. And this, of course, is Week 12, the Thanksgiving Day game. Washington, Dallas. Dallas still very much in this game. Washington 20-16 at the time. And keep in mind, 20-16... with about 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter, it's 4th and 10. Dallas has the ball.
Here's a fake punt. They flip to Wilson. Got a long way to go, and he is stopped way short of first down yardage. Khaleke Hudson made that play, and that had absolutely no chance. This is so good by Khaleke Hudson, really the entire unit, because they were not fooled at all. They had eyes in the backfield. They knew exactly what they had to do, but Khaleke Hudson's the one who comes off and kind of turns him back and is able to make the play. It's just an outstanding job by Washington.
It was.
But it was a terrible play.
It was on both.
It was a terrible play for a couple of reasons, man. Number one is the situation. Washington hadn't moved the ball the last couple times they had it. They're going to get it at about the 40-yard line. They're 40. You're only down by 4. Even if you give up a field goal, you're just down by a touchdown. There's plenty of time left. This was more of a panic move. Then it was a dumb call because did you see where Cedric Wilson took the ball?
Yeah.
It's already 4th and 10, and he gets the ball at the 10-yard line. So he's got to run 20 yards to get just the first down. And then it comes out later, he's got to make a read on the play. Bruh, he ain't a quarterback, man. You don't want him going, well, if this guy comes here, you go there. If this guy goes there, you go there. Nah, dog. People running a fake punt pass need one read. If it's go here, this is where I go. This is who I throw the ball to. Otherwise, you're asking them to do too much in the thing that they're not comfortable with, and you got the disaster. To me, man, it was easily Mike McCarthy's dumbest decision of the season. Easily.
Yeah, I hated the call at the time. I hate it today. It of course, opened the floodgates for Washington to then go on, because that's what was so wild. It was 20-16. You had plenty of time left in the fourth quarter. You were in the game. You had a chance to win, and then Washington would spend the next 12 minutes absolutely kicking your ass.
Well, Antonio, what's his name? Gibson. He goes 28 yards or 23 yards right off, untouched off left tackle on the next play. Clearly a defensive letdown because you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, pretty much. It happens, man. So we go to our next play here, play number 4. And this is week 6 against Arizona. It's a tie game late in the first quarter. 2nd and 9 from the Arizona 49 as Dallas is trying to drive down the field here.
Here's Dalton. Under some pressure. Shovels it forward. And Zeke fumbles the football. And Jordan Phillips came up with the football for Arizona. And for Elliott, fumbling has been an issue this season.
There is no substitute for effort when you're playing defense. And Ezekiel Elliott puts it on the ground only because of the effort of Budda Baker. We talked about him as the spiritual leader of this defense. Take a look. He's rushing the quarterback. Doesn't get there. He gets locked up. Does he give up? No. He keeps trying, keeps effort, gets the ball out for a huge turnover.
Huge turnover indeed, man, and that was part of the problem, especially earlier in the year with the Zeke Elliott and this just rash of fumbles that he was dealing with the first couple of, I guess it's probably about the first half of the season, which was just so uncharacteristic for him.
Dude, it's unbelievable, really, because he'd never been a fumbler. He wasn't a fumbler at Ohio State. He hadn't really been a fumbler his first 4 years in the NFL. And to me, I ain't breaking no news here, but once you have a couple, man, I think it just gets in your head, and it's, and then other teams are inspired by it, so they go after the ball more. It just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But it ruined their season, man. It ruined his season because it played a big role in them getting behind early in Atlanta against Cleveland. In this game here, because it was 0-0 when he fumbled.
Yeah.
And next thing you knew, it was 21-0 going into halftime.
Yeah, and then that game was over. And so we'll go from that one into the top 3 here. In all 3 of these, we're all going to remember these. I thought you nailed it on this one, because number 3, we're sitting here going, my God, you're going to lose to a team that's not any good. But Dallas against Atlanta in that second game of the year, somehow avoiding the 0-2 start with the miracle of all miracles. They're down by 2, a minute 49 left in the fourth quarter, and of course, this is how it plays out.
Zerline, little scrimmage, got to go 10 yards, and it's close. Zerline may have come through. Who's got it? The Cowboys have it. Do you believe that? I need Atlanta to pick it up. They let it go. They could have picked it up and ended the game, but Dallas has recovered, and they're not done yet. Oh, my goodness. And they're only down 2. Let's see.
You don't have to wait for it to go 10 yards. You can attack it right there. Somebody could have came in and got it. You're just watching it go. Olamide Zaccheaus could have just covered the ball up. And now you've got all the Dallas players. They're right at 10 yards. As soon as that crosses that white line, look at them all standing there. They're just waiting for it to become a live ball.
That is unbelievable. I mean, that is a humongous mistake.
Yep.
Dude.
It was unbelievable. It was crazy. I was going nuts when that happened. I can't believe that play worked, but it did.
That was insane. I think I said that was the first time in all the years I've covered the Cowboys I've ever seen anybody attempt the onside kick without the tee.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen them sit it sideways on the tee, but I've never seen them just put it on the ground and do the watermelon kick. It worked to perfection. They kick a field goal game winner on the final play of the game to win it. And you think, well, my gosh, even though they stunk in the Rams game offensively, maybe this will be the thing that turns them around and gets them on a run.
Maybe. And that's what was so crazy about that kick was nobody had ever seen it before. And so I think the Falcons were just like, what the hell? Like, what is this? It's almost like everybody was frozen in time. And then all of a sudden the Cowboys were like, oh, thanks, guys. And they were just standing there and easily recovered the kick and a miraculous win.
Yeah, because remember, they fumbled on like 3 of their first 4 possessions. Dalton, I think Schultz fumbled. I think Dak fumbled. Zeke fumbled. And they were down 20-0 before you could blink. And the game seemed lost then. Then they came back in it. Then they fell behind again. And that was one of the miracle comebacks right there, bro. I've seen a few of them. But that's probably top 5 miracle comeback for the Cowboys.
Yeah, that one was absolutely amazing and really fun at the beginning of the year where all of a sudden you thought, okay, you're 1-1. Maybe let's see. All right, you stole this game. This is great. And,
right.
And obviously it certainly would not turn out that way. But we will go from that to the 2 big plays, one earlier in the year, one right at the end. And, of course, we'll start you with that one from the final game of the season against the Giants. The Giants are up by 1 point, 20-19. Now, keep in mind, while the game was going on, nobody knew what was going to happen with Washington and Philadelphia. Dallas, all they needed to do was win and at least give themselves a chance at a division title and winning and getting into the playoffs. 3rd and 16 from the Dallas 42, about 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
3rd and 16, and the pass is caught. That's a heck of a catch. Dante Pettis, who has a touchdown in the game. It's 4th down. Let's see if he caught this.
Yeah, it's close.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, you know what? He's trying. His hand initially was under the ball.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I mean, initially it looked like he was in a good position to have control, but I think that's an incomplete pass. They're trying to get this ball snapped in a hurry before it gets challenged.
McCarthy was looking at it on the screen, doesn't throw the challenge flag, and this will be talked about after the game if the Cowboys don't win it.
Yeah, it's surprising that he didn't challenge that one.
That was a 50-yard field goal by Graham Gano. This is a 4-point game.
No, it's dumb that he didn't challenge it.
Yep.
Just dumb. There's no other way to say it. And, after the game, when asked about it, he said he was worried about the timeout because of bang-bang play. Bro, the timeouts don't matter when it comes to points. This was a points play because what happens, Matt? If that play is overturned, and it likely would have been overturned, it's 4th and 16, and you're not going to attempt a 60-yard field goal, so you're going to punt the ball, and then all you need is to go drive for a field goal to win a game.
Yeah.
Or at least put pressure on them to make another drive to kick a field goal at the buzzer to beat you. I mean, it was just nonsensical, man. It was ridiculous. I went back and forth over what was the dumbest call, the fake punt or this one, and obviously I went with this one because at the time a playoff spot was on the line.
Yeah, a horrible decision not to challenge. And, of course, the explanation of the timeouts and having the timeouts and the value they have is just silly in that situation. Made no sense at the time. It obviously was not a catch, and I didn't let it go on and on and on, but Mike Pereira comes on and basically says it's not a catch and all this, and it just seemed in that situation, why in the world, you're basically giving the other team 3 points because you wanted a timeout so bad that you were willing to give the Giants 3 points.
It just made no sense, man. None. It still doesn't. It's been a couple of months now, or at least a month and some change. It just makes no sense, bro.
And that will lead us to the final of these 10 plays. And this, of course, no other play was bigger in defining the Cowboys season that absolutely derailed anything that this potentially could have been. And that, of course, happened way back in Week 5, the first time the Cowboys played the Giants. Dallas had a lead at the time, halfway through the third quarter, when this happened.
Not going to keep it. Prescott breaks the tackle. Picks up a
total of 9 more.
Oh, no. Oh, no. You almost got to hope it's a cramp, don't you, if you're a Cowboy fan right there? But, that does not look good, Jim. Oh, no.
And look at Gallup reacting and Dalton getting ready to go in.
Oh, you can just see that at the bottom.
One of those you don't want to see twice.
I was chuckling at it because I had never really heard the oh no's from Romo.
Yeah.
Because you're so busy watching it when you're watching it that you don't really hear all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, there was no doubt that was the biggest play of the year because Dak had emerged as one of the best passers in the NFL. Now, they had so many turnover problems, even with Dak, that I don't know that this year would have been anything other than 8-8. But I do know this, without a shadow of a doubt, they'd have been one of the best offensive teams in the league, and every game would have been ridiculously crazy. Yeah. And the entertainment value, the way Dak was playing this year, no lead was ever safe when you were playing them. And, dude, he would have put up some spectacular record-setting numbers, even if they went 8-8. Because they made so many mistakes early. I don't know that they could have overcome all of that. It was just sad to see Dak get hurt, and I'm sure you'll agree with this. All it did was reinforce, y'all better pay that man.
Yeah, easily. I mean, you're talking about a guy who knows what his season would have turned out to be. He was so far ahead of everybody with touchdown passes and yardage, and was really the sole reason why the Cowboys even had an inkling of hope early in the year, as bad as the defense was playing. Who knows? I tend to agree with you that maybe it would have just been 8-8, but 8-8 would have won you to the division and gotten you into the playoffs. And once you were there with a quarterback like Dak, who knows what could happen? Who knows? Obviously, it didn't, and we'll see. Hopefully, he'll be back fully healthy, ready to go for 2021. I would imagine if I'm Dak, I just tell you, you're tagging me again unless you give me exactly what I want. I don't know why you wouldn't. Take the 37-7 and force the Cowboys' hand, and then you're a true free agent the next year because they're not going to tag you at whatever that would end up being, which is some ridiculous number on the third-year tag, which just nobody would ever do that.
And I keep saying they have just played this thing so poorly that they're just going to get hosed one way or the other, either through contract or by him bouncing.
That's very true. Now, one thing that will not play poorly, and I'm telling you, and I'll tell you this until I'm blue in the face, is those wings from Kroger, man. Because if you are looking for a championship in your mouth, go put some wings in them from Kroger because they're delicious. Mango habanero buffalo blue cheese available at most North Texas Kroger locations. And I know coming up, of course, is going to be, and technically, even on a podcast, we can't say the name if it's in reference to what we're talking about. But the big game is coming up.
Really?
Yeah, you can't.
Really?
Correct.
For real?
Yes, for real.
Really?
Yes. You cannot. You can talk about it in a sense of like when we're discussing it, if you're doing it in like a look at the actual game. But if you're doing it in a sense where you're talking about, hey, this is something that would go good, you should go out and buy these wings while you're enjoying the big game. You cannot use it.
Dude, I'm glad you said something.
Yeah. Yes. Now, look, is it a super low chance that somebody that gives a shit is going to listen to this and pick it up and sue us? Yes, but I'm not willing to take that low chance because as your dad would always say, if you're the 1% when it happens, the 99 other percent that got away with it doesn't apply to you.
Right. It's just like saying your boy's famous boxing call before a fight. Like,
correct.
It's a no-no.
Yes, exactly. So with the big game coming up, I know a lot of people will be throwing parties that Sunday, getting ready for it no matter who plays. Make the wings from Kroger a part of your party. Mango habanero, buffalo blue cheese, available at most North Texas Kroger locations. You just got to go back to the meat counter, tell the dude, it's where all the fresh meat is and the fish and all that, and tell that guy, hey, man, I need the wings right there. Wrap me up a few pounds of the wings from Kroger and enjoy them today because they are fantastic.
And that's because there's nothing but no breading, brother. Just meat and flavor. My dude killed about 1.5 pounds of mango habanero this weekend. We'll probably get some more for that particular event that you're talking about.
Yes.
Now I'm all nervous. I like them in the air fryer or broiled. Matt grills them. I keep meaning to try it when some dude said put them on top of the cast iron skillet with a little bit of olive oil and do your thing. However you prepare them, just make sure you get them. The wings at Kroger. Fabulous.
Delicioso, my friends.
Yeah, that too.
Also, while you're driving to pick up your wings from Kroger, you may notice an oil light come on, or you keep reminding yourself, oh, yeah, it's time to get new tires. That is where Freeway Tire Shop will come in. JR and the guys over at Freeway Tire Shop will get you taken care of. Big fans of Jam Session, and they support us. They will take care of our listeners. They are offering a discount. It is a 10% discount on up to $500. When you get to Freeway Tire Shop, make sure that you tell them you heard about it on the Jam Session podcast. Oil changes, alignments, mechanic work, tires. They can do it all for you at Freeway Tire Shop. You can schedule an appointment and request a quote right there at freewaytireshop.com.
Dude, I got to tell you, JR owns Freeway Tire Shop.
Yeah.
One of the best dudes you'll ever meet. Here's the problem, though. JR has established his own relationship with the lovely Lorraine.
Really?
Like, they don't even, I'm not even included in their conversations now. So she went and took her Jag down there the other day. He fixed it in a day and a half, 2 days, came back, was fine. And I said, oh, you need me to go take you down there to pick your car up? She goes, no, I talked to JR. I'm just going to drive the other car because it needs some work and leave that one and drive my other one back. I go, oh, it's like that? You and JR like that?
Yeah.
She goes, yeah, he's my friend. I said, oh, okay.
Well, that's always good, man. It's good to have
JR's kids through college, man.
There you go. It's good to know people. So as we continue here on this version, we move into the block. And I thought this was interesting because there are a ton of beers available in the world. There's a ton of local craft beers that are really good, but it's still one of the oldest beers. And this is actually, believe it or not, the oldest brewery in America. It was founded in 1829.
Is it on the East Coast?
It is up north, yes. Not technically on the East Coast.
Oh, okay.
But that is Yuengling.
I've heard of it.
Yuengling is the oldest brewery in America, and they have just announced that they will be expanding their distribution into Texas at some point here in 2021. And I know a lot of people who drink Yuengling lager and are big fans of it. You right now can get it in Louisiana. There are people that love Yuengling so much that they make drives into Louisiana to pick up a couple of 12-packs to bring back to Texas. It has never been available in Texas before, and that will change here in the year of 2021.
Now, is this just a regular, traditional, bready, yeasty lager?
Yes, correct.
Light lager?
Yep. Well, it's not a light lager. They do have Yuengling Light, but the Yuengling lager, yes, is that beer-tasting traditional lager.
All right.
And
what's the ABV on it?
I would imagine it's around 5%. I mean, it is a very, very good lager. It's easy drinking. It's got good flavor. I mean, it's one of those things that so many people have had this 5 gazillion million times. And, you know, it's one of those things that, like anything else, I'll be curious to see how it does in the market against some of the big time domestic guys. But Yuengling is coming, and I know that will excite a lot of people. It's more of a sweeter taste because it's got a caramel malt that they brew it with. So it pours almost like an amber color as opposed to like the light lagers that you're thinking of. But it's a good one, man. I mean, they've been making it for years and years and years and years. And it'll be interesting to see how it does. But Yuengling announcing those plans, it's still technically an independently owned brewery, even though they have a partnership with Molson Coors for their distribution, because they're in something like 22 states, and they're about to make a launch to expand towards the West, starting with Texas.
All right. I just thought you'd be impressed that I knew what a lager was and could talk a little bit about it.
Oh, yeah? All right.
Give you some more dad tears. My nephew came by, and he went out of my refrigerator, and he said, wow, you got a whole lot of beer out there.
Yeah, you do.
And I said, hey, man, let me check your pockets. He's like, I didn't take anything. He said, but you got a lot of coffee stouts. I said, oh, you know about that? He said, yeah, I try them from here and there. I said, oh, okay, let me get you one. Now, this is so Matt McLaren, it's ridiculous. I knew which one I was going to give him. I went looking, and I go, okay, there's 4 there. There's 4 there. Where the hell is this one I'm looking for? And I'm moving stuff around. I said, okay, I know nobody took it.
Yeah.
And then I go, oh, here it is. And I went and gave it to him. And he looked at it. He said, oh, my God, this is a 14% beer? I said, yeah, dog. You better sit down when you drink it. And it was Remember the Stack from False Idol.
Yeah.
Because I had 2 4-packs, and then I got a single from somewhere. So I was giving him the single. That's why when I saw the first 8, I was like, I know there's another one out here unless somebody been dipping in my stash.
Yeah, that's a fantastic one as well from our friends there at False Idol. Very, very good.
So think about that, man. I got a beer fridge where I actually know what's in there.
Well, good. You should. That's fantastic. It offers a variety of options for friends when they come over. So we go from the announcement of Yingling to Klyde Warren Park in Dallas, which for those that didn't know, the restaurant that had been there for 7 years was called Savor, and it closed in August, and that space has been vacant for the last almost 6 months. Well,
yeah, it has.
They have now announced that it will be taken over by Mi Cocina.
Oh, that sounds like a winner to me, man.
Yeah, it does. The Mambo Taxis, the Tex-Mex upscale, I guess you would call it, taking over the space, and they have announced that they are doing a $2 million renovation.
Dude, that's going to be fantastic.
Yes, that should be a very, very good addition to Klyde Warren Park, especially because that was one of the cool things, the fact that there was that restaurant there and the fact that it's been down for 6 months. So it's nice to see that it's going to be coming back with Mi Cocina, which, I mean, everybody likes Mi Cocina, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I like them because they make the nachos the way I like them, which is when I order them. I order them a very specific way.
Okay.
Don't screw it up.
Well, how do you order them? I mean, what's the specific way?
I mean, it ain't complicated. It's just very specific. I just want chicken and a little bit of cheese.
Okay.
That's all I want on my chips. Chicken, a little bit of cheese, everything else on the side. The problem is, and I haven't had this at Mi Cocina, everywhere else or most other places you go, if you say a little bit of cheese, they only put a cup and a half on there. When I say a little bit of cheese, I just want a drizzle of cheese so I can taste the cheese, taste the chicken, taste the chip, and dip a corner in some guac.
So you don't put anything else on your nachos, like no jalapenos, no pico, nothing?
Nope.
That's interesting because when I do nachos, I want them loaded up with everything you can possibly put on a chip. I mean, I want beans, I want sour cream, guac, cheese, jalapenos, pico, feta cheese, whatever. Kalamata olives, whatever you can throw on there, man. Put it on there.
No, I like a plain Jane girl.
Man, that is wild. Yeah, I do. I'll make nachos at home sometimes, and it ends up being whatever we have that we're trying to get rid of. I'll just throw on some chips and plow through them, man.
No, I really, for whatever reason with nacho, I think some of it is I don't like for them to get soggy.
Yeah.
And so I like them crisp, and I like them. I really do like to enjoy the flavors. You know, that's why I say you can put the stuff on the side because, you know, they only put like 12 chips or something on your plate. So, you know, one of them I might want to, okay, let me try a jalapeno on this one.
Fair enough.
It's not, I don't like them loaded.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, so there you go. The great nacho question has been decided. If you load them up, you can eat with me. And if you want it just the bare bones, you can eat with Jacques. So elsewhere, I was curious about this because, again, many of you will listen to this on January 20th. And we are recording this here on Tuesday, January 19th. But tomorrow for us and today for many of you will be the presidential inauguration. And this is not a political conversation, okay? It has nothing to do with any type of politics. I'm just curious, are you going to watch any of the inauguration when the new president gets sworn in at noon?
Probably not. If I stumble across it, I will. But that's not unusual. I couldn't tell you. I don't think I've watched any inauguration.
Yeah, see, and I think I'm just one of those people, like, I like history quite a bit. And so this is historic. I mean, it was historic when Trump was inaugurated, when Obama, whatever, because you only have a presidential inauguration every 4 years. And for whatever reason, I just think the pageantry of it all and the pomp and circumstance of here it is, another 4 years, the leader of the free world, the president of the United States, whoever it is, I just think it's cool to watch that ceremony of them being inaugurated.
No, I think, I really am, I don't like politics very much. And so I typically will just watch some highlights on some news somewhere. But I do remember when Obama got elected, it was obviously it's historic as your first black president.
Right.
But I remember my dad and his wife and some other relatives, they're like, we're going to the inauguration because his sisters all live right outside D.C.
Nice.
And dude, my dad said, yeah, the inauguration, let's just say it was at noon. He's like, yeah, we'll probably leave at 8 to make sure we get a good seat and blah, da, 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 da. Man, when he called me that night, he said, man, leaving at 8 o'clock was about 3 hours too late.
I bet, man.
He said it took us forever to get on the subway or the metro. And by the time we got into kind of like D.C. proper where you could start heading that way,
yeah,
it was so packed and so crowded. He's like, we didn't even see it. We had to just decide we'll just sit right here and have lunch or something because there's no way to get to wherever all those people were.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And I'm sure, look, there's not going to be people down there, or they're not having like the big celebration and all that like they normally would because of the pandemic and everything. But, just the whole setup of it, and we do it every 4 years. It's like the Olympics. I mean, it's just one of those things that it doesn't happen. I mean, hell, it doesn't happen every year. And so I always think it's just kind of cool to experience that part of history. For whatever reason, like presidential history and the history of presidents and how that works and stuff has always been really interesting to me. Like we did presidential trivia last week at Three Nations, and they did 3 rounds of presidential trivia, and my team won 2 of the 3 rounds.
Wow. What's a good presidential trivia question?
One of the good ones was who was the
Emancipation Proclamation?
No, not that. That's so easy.
That's always my favorite question.
One of the ones that I thought was really interesting, I'm pretty sure we're the only team that got it right, was who was the first president born in America?
The first president born in America?
Right.
Wow. It was probably, let me see, whoever number 5 was.
See, and that's a solid guess. It was Martin Van Buren, who was the 8th president of the United States. And obviously, as you kind of were alluding to, the idea that all these other guys were older, and it's not like they could have been born in America.
Right.
Because America didn't exist.
That's kind of wild when you think about it.
It is, yeah.
Like my initial thought was, yo, dumbass, it's Washington. And then you go, no.
Right. And so.
Wow. So where was he born? They were all born in England?
Yeah, they were all born overseas, or, they were born maybe, and I'd have to look, maybe 6 or 7, who knows, was born in what was a colony and was not technically the United States of America at the time.
Oh, interesting. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and so it was questions like that I thought were really cool, and just some of the random questions, like who was the first president to have an Oval Office. And you think about this, and so we were going through that, and I was like, I want to say it's James Madison, because the White House, what it is today, is not what it originally was, because in the War of 1812, the British came through and burned down Washington, D.C.
Right.
And then they rebuilt the White House and Madison and all that. But it actually, apparently, they did some renovations, and the first president to have an Oval Office as what it is today was Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh, way back in the 40s or 30s.
Yeah, and I didn't know that one. I was like, man, I would not have thought it was that far down the lineage of presidents before you got into one who had the Oval Office.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, and it's so random because of all the people that have ever lived in America, which is still, relatively speaking, a young country when you compare it historically to other countries in the world. But in the almost, whatever it is, 250 years of existence, only 45 dudes have ever been president of the United States.
Yeah, that's a doozy right there.
I mean, that is wild. I've always thought, the rarest of rare, the 0.00001% of shot that you're ever going to be president. And how cool would it be? Because you want all the movies to be true, where they know all the secrets and there's really an alien bunker in Area 51, and like the Book of Secrets from that National Treasure movie that tells you where the hidden city of gold is and all this stuff. You want all that stuff to be real.
Dude, if that were, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
I know, but it's fun to think of, and that somehow the president is the only dude who actually ever knows any of this stuff. So I don't know. I just think presidential history is so interesting. And then before we wrap up this trip around the block, I mentioned trivia. Don't forget, I will be hosting, if you're listening on Wednesday, trivia is tonight Every Wednesday night at Odd Muse Brewing in Farmers Branch, they have phenomenal beers. Their Woodpecker Lips Scotch Ale is fantastic. They've got some really, really good hazy IPAs. They've got a great West Coast IPA. I was drinking, they still have some of their Black is Beautiful Imperial Coffee Stout.
Dude.
I had one of those last week. It is awesome. And I forgot. I was like, damn, I haven't had this in like 3 months. This is phenomenal.
I did some, dude, you're such a bad influence on me. I did some Matt McLaren stuff this weekend. I had one beer this weekend.
Oh, look at you. Just one, huh?
Well, yeah, that's all I ever had. Just one.
I know.
And I was trying to figure out which one am I going to have, because I actually have choices now. And I grabbed the Black is Beautiful, and then I put it back and I go, it's so good, I don't want to drink it today.
Wow.
Which is pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to drink just the one, though, I mean, you're talking about an opportunity to have a really great beer.
No, it was, man. It just made no sense. That's when I drank that False Idol one, which was actually it was even better than I remember, because I hadn't had it whenever we went out there 2.5, 3 months ago.
Yeah, and that's the thing is...
We went out there in October, so I hadn't had it since October.
With stouts, stouts will hold up, and sometimes the flavor may drop a little bit, but stouts will hold up for a while, a lot longer than an IPA especially will. So those are the types of beers that you can do that with. But again... Wednesdays, 7 o'clock, I'm at Odd Muse Brewing hosting trivia. We do 4 rounds of trivia. There's a winner every round, and there's an overall winner. It's a lot of fun, man. We had a great crowd last weekend, and I always look forward to meeting some of the podcast listeners that come out. I can tell you that if you've been listening to this podcast, I've already given the answer to a couple of questions, whether you realized it or not.
God, now I should have been paying more attention.
Oh, I'm a tricky one. I'm a trickster, but there you have it. I always love doing that, man. It's going to be general knowledge, and I've been working on it. I've got 2 rounds in the books, and then I got to finish out the next day or 2 before we get there. How many
questions in a round?
It's 10 questions each round, 40 questions overall. Usually the winning teams are getting somewhere between 30 and 33 questions correct.
Wow.
So they miss a couple of questions every round, but we had a couple of teams did really well last week, but it's it covers music and movies, a lot of current event stuff. There's going to be some presidential questions because of the inauguration, and sports, and some beer questions, and science, and just all kinds of different pop culture things, and just general knowledge, man. Just get a few people, come on out, and everybody can enjoy it. Time once again, as we do every week, to check in with our ESPN NFL Nation Cowboys reporter, brought to you by Blue Star Motor Group. It is Todd Archer joining us. And Todd, Jacques and I were talking about this on the last episode that we did. You look at these divisional round playoff games, and especially with the Bills, who finally break that streak, they're able to get to an AFC championship game. And once again, another team surpassing what the Cowboys have been able to do in the last 25 years. But let's take a look at some of these games and the matchups we see. What do you make of the Buffalo Bills and this young team they've put together?
They've built it the way you should, right? It's hard to get free agents to go there. Now, we all know Cole Beasley went there to leave the Cowboys, but they've built it the right way. They found their quarterback. They have a dynamic offense. They look like they're going to be the team that's going to be around for a little bit. It just doesn't look like a one-hit wonder like some of these other teams that have kind of come up. I still don't know if Cleveland will be a team that is going to be around for, now that we see their ascension and they're going to be here, the way we think Kansas City is going to be there. I think Buffalo has a chance to be that team that's going to be there for a couple of years. So the way that McDermott has built this, the way their defense plays, and obviously the way the quarterback is playing and how he's developed, that they look like the team that if there's anybody that can beat Kansas City the next couple of years, it's them.
Now, I was not a Josh Allen believer. Were you a Josh Allen believer coming out of Wyoming?
I can lie and say, yeah. I wasn't a Josh Allen disbeliever either, though, because, you did see the kid's talent and what he could do, but there's obviously, he's at Wyoming. How good can this guy be? And then his first year in the league, he can't complete a pass. I'm usually one of these guys that, if the quarterback's not accurate, he's never going to be accurate. But he's developed it. He's found it. And, now it's a little bit like Romo, right? All of a sudden the kid hits it big, and like Parcells said, Romo all of a sudden has many fathers. Well, now this guy has many fathers. Everybody's saying Josh Allen. Oh, I was always a Josh Allen guy. I love Josh Allen. That's for the draft nicks to do, I guess. And you can say, oh, yeah, I hit on this guy when no one really knows or cares or remembers. But the kid's arm, the kid's athleticism, and he's got a little poop in his
Shit in his neck
too. Yeah, well, you said it that way.
There you go.
It's your show. You can say it that way.
That's true. You can.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me when you look at the AFC, and you kind of brought this up, where with Cleveland and who knows with Baker Mayfield and that team, will they be able to do it again? I agree with you with the Bills. It does feel like they've got at least that core there that's going to be competitive with Josh Allen against Pat Mahomes. But it's really interesting when you look at the AFC, as loaded as they are with these young quarterbacks, where it looks like the Bengals are going to hit on Joe Burrow and the Chargers with Justin Herbert. We mentioned Mahomes and Allen, and you can even throw in a Mayfield. And there's a variety of others over in the AFC where it feels like the AFC may be about to go on this run that the Chiefs kind of started, where they're going to be the dominant conference for the next few years.
Haven't they been the dominant conference? How many times did the Patriots win a Super Bowl?
True.
I mean, but you can look at it. It was the Patriots and everybody else. But the difference now is there's kind of a lot of teams that you may be putting that mix. Although I still think if Mahomes is healthy, it's still until proven otherwise. I'm saying it's Kansas City and everybody else. What is he? 24-1 in his last 25 starts. So maybe the fall off from Kansas City to whoever you want to call number two isn't as great as it was when it was New England was number one to, I guess, Pittsburgh was probably number two for the bulk of that time when Brady was running things in New England. But when you look in the NFC, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is eventually, well, maybe he's not. I mean, Tom Brady's 43 years old and still playing as well.
Yeah.
It seems more open in the NFC, especially with Brady being 43, Drew Brees is out. There seems to be more opportunities maybe in the NFC than you would have in the AFC. And if you're a team that's like the Cowboys trying to move up to that level after such a bitterly disappointing season.
And what do you think about what'd you think about the Grandpa Bowl?
I kept waiting for somebody to say Drew Brees can't play anymore, but no one ever said that on the broadcast. And look, what he's done in the league and his statistics and the records that he holds, and he's a Walter Payton Man of the Year and all the things that he's done, and aside from the obvious missteps that he took last summer, it's okay to be critical of a guy and still maintain that he's one of the greats in the game. And I don't think we saw that or heard that from the people calling the game. It was just playing, like I kept saying, put in Winston, like or do you put in Taysom Hill at some point if Hill was healthy and able to play in that game? It was painfully obvious. And I think with Brady, he's playing great, but it's easy to play quarterback when the other guy's turning it over 4 times and you only got to drive field. What they drive? Were there 3 touchdown drives totaled 60 yards or something like that?
Yeah. Like I would say I didn't think Brady was that good. I think he just avoided the big mistake, which is half the battle of playing quarterback.
And that's kind of what it is, especially in the playoffs. Just don't muck it up. And a lot of times you'll be in position to win. Not that you will win the game, but you'll at least be in position to win the game. Yeah,
which is where when you look at the NFC title game coming up, Aaron Rodgers just doesn't turn the ball over ever. And so you got to wonder what Brady and the Bucs will be able to do on the road at Lambeau. But we were talking about this.
Nothing.
Brady comes over from the AFC and screws it up for Breeze. And I think the Packers are going to win, but it's still strange that you have Rodgers and Breeze. And so far, as great as their careers went, they only ever each got to 1 Super Bowl, unless Rodgers can do it this weekend and finally get to another Super Bowl.
And I think that illustrates how hard it is to get to a Super Bowl. Or and let alone win one. It's a hard thing. And the more I've covered this league and stuff, luck matters a lot. I mean, go back to the beginning of the Patriots run, right? They needed a pretty lucky play to beat the Raiders in the snow at Foxborough.
Mm-hmm.
That's luck. And I'm not putting a 20-year run on luck. We sit here and we criticize it. Well, he's only won 1, and Mike McCarthy wasted Aaron Rodgers' time, and Drew Brees only got to 1, and he and Sean Payton completely underachieved. Well, there's some luck involved there when you look at how they lost in Minnesota, or I guess bad luck, how they lost to Minnesota and then how they lost to the Rams. I mean, if those plays go the other way, well, they're back in a Super Bowl, right? I mean, well, I guess not the Minnesota one, but the Rams one. At least they have an opportunity to get in the Super Bowl. So you can't take away their greatness. They've only won 1.
Yeah.
Well, okay, are they not better than Mark Rippon? He won one. I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, of course, they're much. I mean, these guys are some of the greats in the game. I just think it illustrates how hard it is to actually get to a Super Bowl and how spoiled fans can be. Having spent last weekend in New England, it was funny to be around some buddies just lamenting the Patriots and just like, welcome to the rest of the NFL. This is what life is like for everybody else.
You know, I've got several friends of mine who are big-time Saints fans, including one of them who's, you know, he's a season ticket holder to the Saints. And he was just railing on Breeze and how they've had these great regular seasons the last 4 years and haven't got to the Super Bowl. And I said, bro, name me all the teams that have more than one Super Bowl the last 20 years. And it was really, I think, New England, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh. Yeah. I think that's it. So I'm like, and those were spaced out, especially, I think they were both spaced out 5 or 6 years. And I was just like, dude, it's incredibly hard to win. And then you know what I hit him with, Matt? I'm asking Matt because you might not know, Arch. What I hit him with, Matt?
You tell me. I would imagine the fact that you want to go back to what it was like before Breeze.
Right.
There you go. I said, name me all. I said, bro, in the middle of his rant, I said, hold tight, player. Name me all the great quarterbacks the Saints had before Breeze. And he goes, Archie Manning? I said, Archie Manning wasn't great. He was just all right.
Right, and that was like years ago before I was even born.
I said, so, dude, you might be on that journey that the Jets are on. He's like, what you talking about? I said, name the last great quarterback the Jets had. I said, there was some dude in 1970 talking about, get Broadway Joe out of here. He sucks, man. We got the next draft pick coming up. I said, dude, that's been 50 years. What about the Bears, the Browns? I said, the Bills just got one. They only waited 20 years. I said, dude, that quarterback journey could be a long, painful ride. So quit ripping on Breeze for just a minute and appreciate him because you don't know when you're getting another one.
And that's right. I mean, do they think Taysom Hill's the guy? Do they keep Jameis? I realize Sean Payton is a quarterback guru, but is he a quarterback guru? Is he a Drew Brees for the last 15 years or whatever it's been? I mean, well, now we're going to find out. And I'll say this about Sean. He went undefeated with Taysom Hill as his starter, right? He went undefeated with Teddy Bridgewater as his starter. So I'll say he's shown a little bit in small doses that Breeze has missed games the last few years that he can win with different quarterbacks. So, but now you're right. You got to find the guy, or maybe hope that you keep Jameis and he's the guy. Or I don't believe Taysom Hill can be the guy, but you know, Sean has at least shown here lately that he can win multiple ways with different quarterbacks.
How come you don't think Taysom Hill can be the guy?
I don't know. Well, I started the accuracy thing on
Josh
Allen, and I'll say the same thing about Taysom Hill. I mean, when I see him play and I see him have to play quarterback, teams are going to. It's different when you have to play quarterback for 16 games and 65 snaps a game from when you have to play 8 snaps a game for for 16 games. You're going to get defended differently.
Games. Yeah.
Right.
Once the book gets out, baby, you better adjust or you'll just be no good. I mean, you'll just be all right. You won't be special.
And that's what we've seen. Keep it back here to Dak. We've seen Dak adjust and show that, okay, you're going to take this away from me. Well, I can do this on you too. And I think that's part of Dak's growth that he was able to show. And part of that coincided with the arrival of Amari Cooper in the middle of the 2018 season.
So let's get into, as we wrap up that quarterback conversation, the NFL making it known that there's not going to be a combine this year. Is that a big deal? Do you see that as something like, wow, no combine? Okay, watch out.
I think it's a big deal from the medical perspective that you're not going to get the same hands-on approach that you would normally have. They'll still have medical reports, but I don't know. Obviously, the procedures and protocols of how they're doing it is different, so that'll be different. The combine to me is like, we say it every year, don't get fooled by the numbers, yet everybody will get fooled by the numbers at some point because someone will run a 4.2 or someone will bench 225 pounds 84 times, or someone will have a 15-foot broad jump, say, oh, wow, that guy must be a good football player, and then they found out that he's just a really good athlete. So maybe that leans you more into you're going to delve more into the football aspect of this. But remember, these guys haven't been on campuses either as much as they've been in the past. because of the pandemic and there's been less football played and things like that. So this is going to be the test of your scouting department to show that you can project what these guys can be with probably as little information as they've ever had for decades going back on players. This isn't just bring out the Playboy All-American team back in the day and say, "Oh, that guy must be pretty good. Let's pick him." This is going to be an interesting time. And to me, I believe I'm right in this, but I don't know. Where do we see the Cowboys pick here? It's lately, if you know the 30 guys that they're bringing in, well, they're going to take 3 of them at least. I don't think the teams have top 30 visits this year. So it's going to be harder for us to figure out who the heck the Cowboys are picking.
One of them cornerbacks is there.
I'm with you. It's funny. I had to answer a question for ESPN, and it's a what if thing, and it's like, what if everybody that's gone before if every offensive player was picked 1 to 9, what would the Cowboys do? Which way would they go on defense at number 10? And I said they'll take the best defensive player available, whoever it is, and even if there's offensive guys, they'll take the best defensive player available. I know there's like a kick. Well, they got to get a left tackle now. Tired of it. Like, no, man. I'm just going to sit here and like take the best defensive player because you need defense. I'm thinking short term for this team. I'm not thinking the next 5 years. You got to help this defense in. The bad news for the Cowboys, it doesn't look to be like the Marcus Ware type pass rusher or the big time defensive tackle that you could get in the top 10. So you are looking at those corners, Harley and Surtain, as the top 2 guys as of right now, as to what we know.
Right. I would say that. I would say the only hitch in your giddy up would be if the 2 corners somehow, you expect one of them to go, but if both of them went, you'd be like, oh, snap, we got a problem.
And then that's when you look and hopefully there's an offensive guy. One of the quarterbacks has fallen, and then you trade back a little bit, and then you can get a defensive tackle or a defenseman. I can't imagine they would take a linebacker like the Parsons kid at Penn State. I have a hard time thinking that they would take a linebacker.
No, I think it's got to be one of the 2 cornerbacks. And frankly, with all the quarterbacks available and the 2 receivers, I think one of those cornerbacks will be there.
Should be. A couple left tackles should push somebody down to 10.
I'd be surprised if they're not there. Although, your buddy, your friend of mine, I found this hard to believe, but Clarence E. Hill Jr. was trying to make the case. What if Pitts from Florida is there? He's so special. Would you take him? I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. They got Jarwin. No. They got the great Dalton Schultz. That seems like an embarrassment of riches.
So they'll run 13 personnel the entire game and keep Amari Gallup or CD Lamb off the field. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. I can't remember, so forgive me. Did we ask you about Kellen Moore in Philadelphia, or did that happen later in the week?
That happened later in the week.
Oh, so what do you think? Kellen Moore to Philadelphia, done deal?
No.
Done deal.
Sometimes I like to throw Arch an off-speed pitch.
Oh.
No, I don't think it's a done deal. Although I do say, look, he had his best game of the season against Philadelphia up there, right?
Right.
When 513 yards, Dalton throws for 377. I'm sure that catches them. And if you look at Philadelphia's search, they're looking at everybody, which I applaud. Like, this is what every team should do. I realize there's a rush to name the coach because you want to make sure you get the guys for your staff. Make sure you're not just getting a coach, make sure you're getting the right coach. And I don't think when the season ended, I thought Doug Peterson would have been gone. So maybe this is a little bit of a surprise. But I think, if I'm the Eagles, I'm finding someone on the Giants staff to interview, and I'm finding someone on Washington staff to interview. Whether they have real shots at the job or not, I'll just get some feelings of what they think of their roster and how their development, and see if you can learn something that way to help yourself in the 6 division games that you play each year.
Yep. That's what the better organizations tend to do.
What are you saying, Jock? Hold on, no. What are you saying? Are you saying that the Cowboys made a mistake in only interviewing 2 people?
That's
I like
my
to
boy.
throw Jock a curveball every now and then.
That's my boy. See, I threw that out there wondering if I could get that backdoor slider past him. But no, he sat on it and drilled it. That's exactly what I'm saying. Marvin Lewis, Mike McCarthy, even though I thought at the time McCarthy was a good hire, I mean, it's like dating, man. Even if you know who you want, you still play around a little bit till you decide, okay, it's time to get serious. And then you go get the girl who's perfect for you.
All right.
Well, yeah, I'm going to leave it on that one because
I mean, we all know.
Jock was playing the field.
You got to play around a little bit.
Your wife is. I was thinking about that because
you're thinking about Archer's wife.
No, Courtney is one of the nicest, sweetest people you'll ever meet. She even tried to give me a beer in San Antonio at the Final Four a couple years ago. And I think I tried it, but that was before my transformation, so I didn't really like it. It's about, something about football made me think about this. And then we changed topics, so I didn't get to it. But it has to be something like the one who got away. Like all these teams got a player that got away. But then you try to go back and get them. And it's kind of like your girl, the one who got away before you found your next love. You're like, man, I think I screwed up. I let her get away. And then you find this one, and then you kind of forget about it. So I was getting into the one that got away for Arch. And then I was like, no, he's not going to answer that.
What? How do we go from McCarthy and Lewis to Todd Archer's one that got away?
I forget that Arch is unlike me and you. Arch found the love of his life, and he never messed up. So he's good. Me and you have been floating around, sticking bobbies in the water, coming up with different fish. And so he's not a good person to ask that. We'll ask Clarence Hill about the one who got away. He's got plenty.
He's cast multiple lures.
Amazing.
See, you don't get this kind of conversation on other shows, man. That's why we're special.
No.
No, not at all. You don't. All right. Todd Archer, we appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Yep.
Hi, bro.
See you guys.
See you
later.
See you.
There he is. Todd Archer, as always, brought to you, of course, by BlueStarMotorGroup.com. We were speaking of beers, and I got to tell you, man, if you are looking to expand your palate and jump into some new beers, whether it's a lager, whether it's a coffee stout, whatever the case may be, Beer Geek Shop in downtown Rockwall is the place. Jason and Deidre, the owners, a husband and wife team, a local family-owned business. Been telling you about these guys for months. They were with us in the radio show. They've been with us since the beginning of the podcast. One of our biggest supporters that we absolutely love and encourage you guys to get out and support them. Because like I said, it doesn't matter what style of beer, how experienced of a beer drinker you are, they have something for you that you're going to like. And everything in the store is available in singles, which is part of the greatness of it. Because if you do want to try a lager and a coffee stout and a Berliner and something else, you can do all of that because everything's in singles, and you can tell them, hey, mix and match me some things, and they will put together a great six-pack for you at Beer Geeks.
Now, everything being in singles is really the best thing about Beer Geeks because you don't ever have to commit to a six-pack until you're ready, until you know that you like it. The more you get out and dabble in craft beer, the more you'll appreciate that because nobody wants a six-pack of trash.
Nobody does. You're exactly right. You want really good beers, and man, that's what Beer Geeks has. So you can check it out, by the way, if you want to have an idea before you go, or you can even place an order online. Just go to their website at beergeekshop.com, and we'll have another episode of Just the Sip coming up on our next podcast, and I am excited about that because there are some good ones, and I don't know that I've had. This might be the first time that we'll ever do a Just the Sip where I haven't had any of the three beers.
Oh, wow.
I think that's true. I know I haven't had two of them. Maybe I've had one of them. I'll have to double check on that, but I'm excited about that. So we like doing this from time to time. We don't do it every week. It just depends on how much we've been watching. But I think both of us have kind of built up a couple of shows to discuss here in the Peep Show. And one of the ones, and I don't know if you've seen this, but it's on Netflix. It's quick, like little 30-minute episodes. It's hosted by Nicolas Cage. And it's called The History of Swear Words.
Dude, I wondered how long it was going to take you to get around to that.
Well, see, and this is what I always think is interesting because people are like, oh, those are bad words. And even and I like this presentation quite a bit because they have like doctors with PhDs that study words and where they're from and the meaning of each word and all this. And those people at the highest level will tell you there's no bad words. There's no really such thing as bad words. It changes throughout the course of time, throughout whatever phase of history that you happen to be living in, where 400 years ago, this word was really bad. And then for whatever reason, 400 years now, shit is really bad. And I think that that's really fascinating because it just kind of proves the point that I've always made is certain words, people don't like to hear them because of the way that we have been raised for whatever reason over the course of time to where, oh, now that's a bad word and that's a bad word, when the reality of it is, if you're substituting, and I've always thought this hilarious. And look, we are, and some of you don't like the F word and the S word, and that's fine, but you're about to hear it because we're talking about a show that discusses it. So if you don't like that, I would just encourage you to fast forward and we'll get through this. But I've always found it interesting when somebody goes, I mean, what the frick is that? Just say fuck. Like, what the frick is that? You're literally trying to portray the exact same thing, but for whatever reason, somewhere along the way told you that that's a bad word, not to use it. So you substituting it with frick when you mean something else.
Now, that's funny. What's funny about that, man, is I promise you this happened, is I got it in my head when I was a kid. I got it from somewhere. The fudge sticks. That was it. Oh, fudge sticks. And I used it like that one time. And my mother turned around and said, I'm going to slap the shit out of you if I hear you say that again. I said, for what? What did I do? I said, fudge sticks. She goes, I know what you meant. And so I decided that I was not going to say that again.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because some people believe, and they even go through this, and these are like almost like little 30-minute documentaries, but they have some goofiness and silliness to them. And look, I'm going to tell you right now, if that word offends you, do not watch that episode because they probably say it 400 times within 30 minutes. But there's people who are actually talking about where did it come from and where did it first appear in literature and in history and all this. And there are some people who think that fuck is an acronym for fornication under consent of king, which is a silly theory to begin with. And of course, that's not where it came from. But they believe that it kind of is of an origin from many years ago, that it first appears in manuscripts from like the 16th century. And it's really interesting where they start. And these are people that study literature and all this type of thing for years and years, who say, really, when you go back and you look at how it was first originally put together, it really wasn't looked at as that type of a word.
No, I mean, I think the most interesting thing about the whole series is how they break down the words and the usage, and how they started 400 years ago or 300 years ago meaning this, and how they evolved over time to mean that. And, that's the good thing about documentaries and history and stuff, all the stuff you can learn.
Yeah. And it's interesting. And so, they go through this and they break down. I mean, there's a whole episode on the F word. There's a whole episode on the word shit and where it came from and how. And I thought this was fascinating, like these public toilets and all this type of thing. And that's the way that people would talk. And so back in the day, in medieval times, shit was not looked at as a bad word. It was more so of, that's just what people did. And so because there was nobody had a private toilet. There was no toilet invented yet. So you would go to these big outdoor things and sit next to each other and use the bathroom. And once it started coming in where there was private plumbing and then the toilet was invented, that having to go and take a shit became something that you did in private. And so that word became separated really from public lexicon to where it became, this is a word that is used in private that now is derogatory because you're talking about something that you're ashamed to do now that you have to do it, and you do it in a closed bathroom in a closed setting. And this word is associated with that.
Absolutely, man. I found all that fascinating.
Yeah.
Just like I found, it's all very interesting to me. I actually watched it a couple weeks ago, and I stumbled across it, I think. And then once I saw it, I go, oh, I've heard about this. Let me check it out. It's. I also think one of the funny things is, and I'm sure they did it with the F word, how many different ways you can use it and what it means. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, some of it's fighting words. And it just goes to show you that this is one complicated language, man.
It is. It really is. And that's why, and many of you who have been listening to us for a long time know my thoughts on this, but I have always thought that I don't really look at that as, I can't believe you would say that. I look at it more because somebody said, well, you wouldn't talk like that in front of your son. No, I also wouldn't have sex in front of my son. You know why? Because there are certain things that adults do in adult situations that other adults are aware of. And that's the progression of life. And words like that, and the meaning and the power and the understanding of when and how to use them is something that you learn as you become an adult. So yes, I wouldn't let my child talk like that. I don't talk like that in front of my child to the best of my ability because I believe that those are adult things.
No, I feel you on that. I think everybody, this is, everybody who's not being obtuse understands that. Those of us who, and then there's always a couple of obtuse people in every conversation. Whether it's at a bar, whether it's on a podcast, or whether it's at a football game, whatever. It's always a couple of obtuse people out there. So you just kind of put them to the side and keep it moving. But that was one of the more. I've seen a few good documentaries lately, and I kind of put it in the documentary genre. So it's giving you some information, even though it's in an entertaining way. But that was good, man.
Yeah, it was. It was an interesting mix-up of like comedians commenting on it and using it versus actual historical people that study words for a living. That and you could tell these people would come on like, well, originally back in 1543, this word appeared in the manual, And I thought that was interesting. And then of course Nick Cage is just saying them as many times as he possibly can in all sorts of different ways, which is really interesting.
He's a good person to host it because of that.
He was. He did a good job at that. So you had mentioned that you've been watching something. What's the name of it? It happened in New York, or One Night in New York?
One Night in Miami.
One Night in Miami.
I watched that the other day, and it was really good. I watch movies for the most part. I want some sex and some violence and to be entertained. Right. I don't really care about cinematic brilliance or not. But I got to tell you, man, One Night in Miami was outstanding, and it's based upon a true story. And the movie's based upon a screenplay, and it's based upon a play. And the same dude who wrote the play turned it into a screenplay. Mm-hmm. And it's about shortly after Muhammad Ali, then Cassius Clay, beat Sonny Liston to win the heavyweight championship of the world. Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, and Sam Cooke spent a night together in a hotel room, chatting up, talking, four young black men at the height of their careers, mm-hmm. or their fame, or their notoriety. And it's all about what they talked about in that hotel room and the interactions of that evening. And it's really good, man, because, it was a little more serious of a movie than I typically watch, but the acting was on point. Like, those guys, whoever cast them did a great job of casting them, because they all kind of had the essence of the characters that they were playing.
Yeah.
But dude, they also got the mannerisms down. Like the dude who was playing Malcolm X, I was like, he must have walked around the house being Malcolm X for like a year. Because he had, from what I've seen on clips and TV and all this other stuff, and the voice inflections and tones and all that, he had that down. And, one of the reasons why I didn't watch The Greatest, and I haven't watched hardly any movie that has Muhammad Ali in it, is because he's so known that I always just see the actor. Like, you're playing Muhammad Ali, you're not Muhammad Ali.
Mm-hmm.
But this dude here, man, who I can't remember his name, he had kind of the voice down, and he did it so good that I kind of got into the character. Like, okay, I'm not looking at you as whoever you are. I've decided you're good enough to be Muhammad Ali. So it's all about their interactions and how they were going about each one of them's approach to the civil rights movement and what they should do to advance the cause. And they had varying disagreements about it. And are you selling out if I do this? And it was really, really good, man. Really good. And one last interesting thing, like, have you heard of Sam Cooke?
Yes.
All right. And Sam Cooke's got like 8 of the 100 greatest R&B songs ever from the 60s. I had heard the name Sam Cooke. I didn't really know much about Sam Cooke. A Change Gonna Come, The Chain Gang, You Send Me, all those songs. You're familiar with them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've heard me say stuff like this before. Todd Bowles, an assistant on the Cowboys. All right. So you're always trying to figure out, how can I talk to these guys about something other than football so we can bond, and then they'll tell me great stuff about football. And so you just have these regular conversations. And so, I'm saying, well, what kind of music you listen to? Man, I listen to Sam Cooke all day and all night. Really? So, dude, I came home and I bought Sam Cooke's greatest hits. And I started listening to him. I was like, well, damn. I mean, I realized, at the time he's been dead for 50 years, but the music's still great.
Right.
But because I had listened to so much Sam Cooke music, I was really into Sam Cooke, the character on the show, because I felt like I knew him. So it was a really good show, man. I was pleasantly surprised because most of the time, like I said, those movies are a little too serious for me, and I'm looking for a relief, not anything too heavy.
Yeah, it's one of those. Regina King directed it, actually, which is kind of cool. Yeah, and then Aldous Hodge is in it, who some people may recognize. He played Voodoo in Friday Night Lights. Leslie Odom Jr. is the dude who plays Sam Cooke, and he was in Hamilton. He's a phenomenal actor, phenomenal stage actor, and is well known, has been a bunch of things. Lance Reddick is in it, he's been in Bosch and been in a gazillion different
double
things.
Take. I didn't even realize that was him.
Yeah, and so it has a phenomenal cast. So One Night in Miami is the name of it, and what is it on? Did you have to rent that?
Amazon Prime.
Okay.
No, it's free if you got Amazon Prime.
Okay, awesome, sweet. Yeah, I want to check that out because it's got a great cast. So you have that, and that should be probably one of those powerful movies that I would imagine. I don't know if it was released in time for Oscar nominations or not, but I've heard this movie being talked about. So I'll have to check that out.
Now, the other movie, and I can't remember if I mentioned it last week, but I've seen it again, man, and it is messing with me, and that is Sylvie's Love. And that's what you know why it's messing with me? Because it's a life movie. And I bet most people who look at it will be like, damn, man, I know that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about this couple that wants to be together, but the timing is never right. They're passionately in love with each other, but at one point her timing is bad. And so she's involved with somebody. At another point, his timing is bad. He's looking for a job in another city. And they want each other, they want to be with each other, but they can never get the timing right. And it's over the course of 10 years or something. And I always think about that, man, that you have relationships in your life, even if you're happy with the person that you're with, or you're in love with the person that you're with, or you're married to the person that you always think somewhere along the way there's somebody that you're like, man, if the timing had been better, I wonder what life would have turned out with this woman or this guy. And and the characters got so much chemistry, and I fell in love with the girl that I've already seen it twice, man, and I might just watch it a third time.
Yeah, and the wild thing about that is one of the leads, the male star is Nnamdi Asomugha, which some of you may recognize that name. Yes, it is him. The dude who is a former first-round draft pick who played in the NFL for years as a cornerback, mostly with the Raiders for like 7 or 8 seasons or whatever. That dude is now like 40 years old and is an actor.
Dude, you need to check this out.
All right.
Because I think he did such a sensational job on this movie that I really want to see him in something else to figure out whether he can really act, or whether because he was so in touch with this one particular movie, because it was like his life's dream and he knew everything about it, that he just captured this character because he played the hell out of this character. And here's why. This character is a very understated dude. He's not shy, but he's just understated. There's nothing loud about him. He's a saxophone player, so he's kind of an introvert. Mm-hmm. And man, he was just fantastic in terms of toning the character down. And he made you feel like this is the way cats like that really are, where they're in love with somebody, but they're kind of shy and they don't want to really put themselves out there. So they take these small baby steps before they expose like who they are to make sure they don't get hurt. It's one of the best love stories I've seen, man. And I ain't even sentimental like that.
Interesting. So, yeah, I'm going to check those out, especially the One Night in Miami, because like I said, that's one that they expect is going to get an Oscar nomination for Best Picture. And I've heard the dude that plays, I think it's the dude that plays Malcolm X.
I told you.
Is supposed to be, is one of those that may get an Oscar nom for Best Actor. So, stuff
phenomenal, man.
I always like watching the movies that'll be around for award season. So I definitely want to check that one out. We haven't been watching movies lately, so that'll be a nice change because we've been, we finished up *Halt and Catch Fire*, and now we started on the last greatest show ever that she hadn't seen.
What's that?
Mad Men, which I've seen it, and I forgot just how incredibly well written that show is, man. What a just awesome display of writing. And the acting is really good, and, it takes a minute because you have to realize, it's set, the opening season is 1960.
Right.
And so the way that women are treated and the way that white men dominate the world and basically live as though they can do no wrong and there are no rules for them. I think when you're watching that at first, you're like, what in the world? Like, no way. But again, that's how it was back then. I mean, we're talking 60 years ago. That's the way that the world was. And so to see the way that they talk and the way that they are in their home lives and in their work lives, and we're talking about advertising executives on Madison Avenue in Manhattan in New York, which is obviously a different world so to itself, but it's really dead on for the period, and it's just written so well. So
what platform is it?
It's on Prime, I believe.
All right.
It was originally on AMC, but I think Prime's the one that has it. But
how many seasons does it have?
I can't remember if it's 7 or 8. It may be just maybe 7.
Starting at the beginning.
Yeah, and we're about 8 episodes into season 1, and just really, really solid characters all the way around. It's a really well done show, really well written, and like some of the stuff that they say in it, you're just like, God, that was awesome. What a line. And I like that.
I may check it out since y'all are just getting started.
And as we wrap this thing up here, I mean, speaking of wrapping it up, so. I mean, this is one of the creepiest, wildest, what in the world stories coming out of sports that I have heard of in a long time. And this is revolving, and this is from who is now the former New York Mets general manager, because he was fired. As we record this today, Jared Porter is this dude's name, and he has been terminated after he reportedly sent like hundreds of text messages and a few explicit images to a reporter covering the Mets and Major League Baseball who wasn't even American, who was a foreign reporter. Now, I think that comes into play in this story because this has all started to recently come out. And this is what's so strange to me because it's happened, it looks like in like 2017.
Yeah, I mean, I think the deal is, if I remember reading the story correctly, is that this woman, I believe, is from Asia. I believe she's from Asia, China, Japan.
Right.
She said, she said everything's true. I think she may have even given some screenshots or whatever.
She did, a bunch of them.
But then she changed her mind and said, in my country, I'm going to be ridiculed for this. I'm the one who's going to be blamed for it. And I just don't want to deal with that drama, that hassle. And so I'd really rather you not write the story.
Right.
And that's not the kind of story you're going to write if the person doesn't give you the go ahead, because then if push comes to shove, they could deny it and then you look like a fool. So finally she got out of the business, and I guess they got back in touch, and she said, you know what? I'm out of the business now. I don't want anybody else to have to go through this. He's in a position with more power now.
Right.
So yeah, go ahead and write that story.
Yes, and I mean, this story is just unbelievable. And this happened when Porter worked for the Chicago Cubs as the team's director of professional scouting and special assistant. And he sent, now originally, and she even talks about this, originally she did respond to some of his texts. Like, he would send her texts, and it happens this way for every female reporter, and we all know many women in this business that have run into situations very similar to this, where it happens and the guy gets the phone number and she thinks, oh, this is going to be great. Now I have a source inside the organization.
Yep.
So she starts to text the source, or he texts her and says, hey, great to meet you, whatever, blah, blah. She responds. And then apparently these dudes just think, oh, kick ass. She responded to me. Now she wants to bone. And you go down this route and you can read these dudes' text messages, and it starts out like that, where he starts immediately like, do you have a boyfriend? We should get dinner. Let's get drinks. And she thinks, oh, sure, I'll have a drink. I want to get information from you. And she even said that had she been more familiar, because English was not her first language, that she didn't quite understand the context in which some of the things were being sent to her. Like, for instance, he sent a picture. He's in a hotel, and he sends her a picture of his like bulge in his gym shorts, and goes, "Do you like what you see?" And I think she even responded, "Yes." And it became one of those things where, in that situation, if you're the dude, you're like, "Oh, okay." Now, to her, and again, she says she didn't really understand. She didn't know that she could say no. She was just trying to play it off and was uncomfortable, but didn't know what to do.
Right. And
so
you can understand that.
Yeah, Yeah, of course. I mean, for any female, and this is where this has always just gotten such bullshit from the man standpoint is, why do you think that it's okay in this situation to immediately say, do you have a boyfriend, and then send a picture of your bulge?
No idea, bro. I think a lot of it is, some of it's some entitlement, some of it's some privilege, some of it's just, you're just a creep. I think most of it is, now you'd be surprised at how many dudes don't understand this. That really doesn't turn women on. Women, the vast majority of women, and you don't have to take my word for it, you can read about it in any psychological book you want to. The vast majority of women are all emotional about the men that they choose to date or hang out with or have relationships with. They're not physical. Dudes are physical. Dudes are, she's got a great body. I'll figure out anything else I need to know about her later.
Right.
I want her. Women don't think like that, man. So even my homegirls, I've yet to find one who said an unsolicited dick pic was something they enjoyed. Now, if you got a relationship and she's into you, then maybe that's something she would like. But an unsolicited dick pic, I've got 4 or 5 women who are really good friends of mine. And occasionally we had these conversations. And they go, yeah, it's happened to all of us. And she goes, I haven't had one yet who said, oh, yeah, I saw the pic. And I was like, oh, maybe I should call him.
Get over yourself. Nobody wants to look at your dick.
And I think that's it, man. It's get over yourself. Like, you really think yours is that special? I mean, really, you really think it's that special?
Even if it is that special, she still doesn't want to see it. No female on the planet is hoping that when they pick up their cell phone, there's a picture of your dick on it. Not a single woman on the planet is hoping for that. And if you think that, then you're never going to get laid. Because, and look, I know some guys, I know some really wonderful men. I know some in my life, I've come across some douchebag dudes. I've known guys that have sent those pics, and not once has it ever worked for them to get what they were going after.
No, man, I don't understand it. And so that led me to this, man. Like, I asked you, when did dick pics become a thing?
I don't know, man. And I was wondering that as well, because it had to be with the invention of like the camera phone, obviously, and then the invention of Snapchat or something like that, where you could quickly send these. I don't know, because I didn't grow up with the camera phone. I mean, I didn't even have a cell phone until I was in college, so it never crossed my mind that, oh, hey, look, I bet some girl would like to see this today. Nobody does. And that's what I've always wondered, is where it became, and maybe it's sort of like social media, how people will attack you on social media, but this isn't anonymous. Like, this isn't. And so this Jared Porter dude tried to play it off and said, oh, it's just like a joke type thing. Like, that's not even me. Yes, it is. It's you. Yeah. Just say, you know what? I'm a creepy asshole and I sent a dick pic and I'm a clown.
No, that's a pretty good. That's a pretty good thing. I like this answer. No, it's just a stock photo.
No, it isn't. So who's Googling, hey, I need a good stock photo of a dick so I can send it to this reporter who, by the way, hasn't answered my previous 62 messages.
And see, dude, what is up with that? I mean, who does, to me, man, that's a person who's got problems.
This is a grown-ass man who sent 62 messages to a woman. She did not respond, and the final thing he sends is a dick pic, because that's what will get you an answer. God, man. That's impressive. 62 messages that went unanswered.
Okay, I just pulled up this article that said, men explain why they send dick pics in their own words. This is from some dude who goes, I would describe it as a kink, really. There's a certain reaction I'm looking for from the recipient, and it just makes me feel good. I'm rarely looking for sex to be the end result of it. I think I just enjoy the reaction, and it makes me feel like someone's impressed with me and has a sexual desire for me.
Well, they're not, and they don't. You know who's impressed with you and has a sexual desire for you? Your own self.
Well, see, I think I'm... See, this next response I got is, I have a big dong and I get off on the reactions. It made me feel good about. See, this is all about me.
Yeah, of course it is. If it was about the female, dick pics wouldn't exist. Because again, as we've tried to paint the picture, not a single woman that either one of us has ever run into in our lifetimes has ever wanted somebody to send them a picture of that unsolicited. They don't exist.
Right. I was looking for that pretty much all these I'm reading the end result is some reaction I wanted to get. And so again, just like we said, it's never about the woman. It's always about you.
It's narcissism at its finest.
You know what, man? That's probably the best way to say it.
That's what it is. It is the grade A example of how do I know if I'm a narcissist? You send dick pics to women.
Yeah. And again, unsolicited is the whole thing.
Right, unsolicited. I mean, look,
if you're in a relationship, whatever y'all want to do is whatever y'all want to do.
Yeah, that's your own thing. You like sending pictures to each other, knock yourself out if you're lovers, and she's approved it and said, "Hey, baby," and you know what? Maybe she's just doing that because she knows you like it. Who knows? But reality of it is doing it unsolicited. And every woman I know that today. Well, I'm talking. God, I hope nobody's ever done that to my mother, but.
Wow.
I can tell you, man, that most women, if you're under a certain age and have grown up in this world of camera phones and all of this, at some point, whether it was on Instagram and your DMs or whatever, you've been sent one.
I need to send. I'm going to send my daughter a text. I wonder if she's had one.
Oh, God, what a wonderful text to get from your dad. Jeez.
Well, you have to preface everything by, we're having this conversation on the show.
Yeah, and this is the thing, man, is this dude, like literally, he sends her 62 unanswered texts, including 7 photos, over the course of 3 weeks. And he says, which picture do you like the most? Want to see more? Hello, beautiful. Is it too much for you? Where did you go? I'm bored. Why won't you answer me, beautiful? Dong.
I mean, how desperate do you have to be, bro?
I'm going to give all of you guys out there something here that will help your dating life immensely. And look, whether you're dating or you're trying to get a side piece, whatever it is, I'm going to tell you this. If you send a text message, give it some time. Maybe she responds, maybe she doesn't. Maybe, and I can believe it, maybe somehow she saw it, forgot about it, whatever. Send one more text message. If they don't respond after the second text message, you probably should just look elsewhere.
Because if they're interested, brother, you get a response very quickly.
Correct.
You don't have to wonder.
There's no need to blow them up. There's no need to sit there and send 50 text messages. Send 2. If she doesn't respond, move on. And then maybe she responds a couple of days later. You can send another text and wait for her response. It's not that hard. It's just like, this is where we've lost this, is that in text messages, we've lost how to converse with people. Because if you were having a conversation with somebody in their face, you wouldn't do the things that people will do in the world of texting and on social media.
No, that's a very good point, man. It makes people weird, makes people kinky. It's just a bad deal.
It is.
Here's my daughter's response.
Of course.
Yeah.
Many times. I'm telling you, man, and I don't understand that. I really don't. It's sad that it's such a thing that it's hard to run into women these days. And I would say probably, and I could be wrong, if you're over 40, maybe it's happened to you. It feels like this is an under 40 thing, and I feel like it's way more prominent the younger you go.
No, I think so. Now, I got to tell you, I've done I've had the conversation on the opposite end. Dude, don't ever do that.
Oh, yeah.
Thought about doing it?
No.
If actually it was more like, if you ever think about doing this, don't do it. It's a bad look. And number one, you can get in real trouble for it. So don't ever do it. If your boys are talking about doing it, don't listen. No good can come from that. And that's after every time I have a conversation like that, and sadly I've had to have a few of those, you're always like, what is the world coming to that I got to have these preemptive conversations about this kind of sordid behavior?
It's just amazing to me. I mean, literally, if you're the guy, as you said, the reason why people send it is because they're a narcissist and it does something for them, because you're basically telling the girl, don't ever talk to me and be done with me and block me and get rid of me on all platforms.
Yeah, basically, man.
I mean, that's what you're doing. And I just don't understand the disrespect level that you have to have for women to where you think you have a right to do something like that.
My daughter goes, so I said, what was your response? She said, if I didn't ask for it, it just makes me know that you're really a loser, or I didn't reply.
Yeah. And it's sad, man. It is sad, but I don't know that I know a female under the age of 40 that has not unsolicitedly gotten one at some point somewhere along the way. And a lot of the times it happens way more often than you would think. I mean, I can tell you right now, I mean, my lady friend, if she were to post like a selfie or whatever on Facebook or Instagram, just not even those, but the like random people that will just send her a message like, hey, beautiful, what's that? Like, oh, so because you think that this woman is attractive, that just out of the blue, that gives you a right to slide into her DMs and hit her up 500 times?
Yeah.
Sad, man.
It's the male perspective of the world.
It is. It is. And it's unfortunate. But yeah, Jared Porter, as soon as this story broke, and I think it broke like late last night. I can't remember if I read it. It must have been late last night. I read it early this morning. And he has been fired. I mean, fired immediately. The new owner of the Mets said, I talked about in my press conference that integrity is the highest standard, and I meant it. This dude done. He no longer works here.
Now, the question will be, will he get another job in baseball soon?
I don't know. That's going to be interesting. I hope not. I hope it's not soon. I mean, I always believe in second chances, and maybe this guy can learn from his mistakes. But because again,
I always play this game. Okay, he did it to this person 3 years ago.
Right.
He was clearly a serial texter. What are the odds that was the only person he ever did that to?
0. I guarantee you that he's done it. And I've often thought that because nobody, if you're the type of guy that does stuff like that, it's not like, well, I'm going to try it this time and see. You're throwing it out there as much as possible. Because you enjoy the feeling that you get from it. So why wouldn't you be doing this constantly?
Right. So I bet some other people have already come out of the woodwork and said, oh, yeah, he did this to me. He did it to me. Mm-hmm. So, he needs to get some help for his narcissism, and then maybe he can stop this.
Yes, exactly. And again, guys, don't do it. Nobody wants to see it. We just don't.
Yeah, got it.
That will wrap it up for us here on this version of the podcast. We appreciate you guys hanging with us for a while here. And a reminder, subscribe if you would, if you haven't, and make sure you tell your friends about it. Also, of course, we do still have t-shirts for sale, so you can hit me up. I need red or black. Those are the two colors we have. What size you're looking for and a shipping address. $20 plus shipping and handling, and we will get those out to you. And also, of course, as always, we are looking for sponsors to grow our sponsor list in 2021. So if you are interested in joining up with us, you can send me an email and we'll get you information on that as well. Both t-shirts and sponsor information, shoot me an email, matt@jamsessionpodcast.com. But thanks for listening. Find us on Instagram @JamSessionCast, and of course on Twitter @McMatt Radio, @JJT_journalist. Thanks to Purple Elephant Music for the music you hear at the end and beginning of each episode. He is the radio and TV star, the sexy Jean-Jacques Taylor, and I'm just a guy, Matt McLaren. We'll catch you next time. Available everywhere you listen to podcasts.